Hello, y'all. I am back again for another video. And this video is about how race matters. So I will be giving some examples and even including some family experiences like I always do. That's one of the things about this channel. I'm a private person, however, I do share. So there are some things that I don't mind sharing with my viewers and subscribers. Okay. So, how race matters. So I'm going to start out by giving this example. I have three sons. My oldest son is Isaiah, and my middle son is Elijah, and my youngest son is Daniel. Now, at this time, only two of my sons live at home. It's the oldest and the youngest, okay, which is Isaiah and Daniel. So the middle son, Elijah, has already moved on and moved out. Now, because of the subject matter of this video, I will be able to use Elijah in several examples throughout this video on how race does matter. And I will just be telling my truth and how race matters and how it affects you, and also giving you some solutions on what to do about it. And so I'll be giving solutions and explaining how I handle things and the process of how I deal with things as race does matter. So I'll begin here. Isaiah mentioned to me one day on his way to work, because this is the picture that the middle son that's moved out has painted. The middle son paints it to his brothers like he's moved out, he has all this freedom, he can do what he want to do, and it's just not true, because the world will not allow you to do what you want to do, especially without consequences. So there will be consequences, even if a person says, well, I'm not at home with mom no more, so I can go outside and do drugs all day and night. Yes, they may feel that way and they may try to pursue that, but there is consequences. Okay, there's negative consequences for doing stuff like that. So, hello, y'all. Thanks for coming into the live. This video is about how race matters. So, my oldest son, he was on his way to work one day, and he says, I just said, I gave a recommendation for Isaiah to wear a pair of shorts, like these knee shorts, because where Isaiah works, he has to wear name brand clothes. Okay. So, and it's the name brand of the company per se, but he has to wear name brand pretty much. So, Isaiah had went shopping like a few days before he made this statement to me. He said, well, Elijah can do what he wants to do. And all I suggested was, Isaiah, I said, why don't you wear these shorts? I think these will look nice. So Isaiah, he didn't want to wear the shorts I thought would look nice. I'm just one of these people. I'm always trying to pick. Thank you so much for the likes, y'all. I'm just one of them moms. I like style. I mean, I'm not a person that's always like wearing the top name brand and stuff like that, but I do like a sense of style. So I was like, I think these shorts will look nice. Isaiah was like, no, I want to wear my new shorts. I want to wear these. I want to wear these. I said, no, I don't think you should wear these. So me and Isaiah going back and forth with this debate over these shorts. So ultimately, because of Isaiah's age, he picked the shorts he wanted. He decided he's going to wear the brand new shorts. And that's what he wore. So, but when Isaiah said the middle son, Elijah, that's moved out, can do whatever he wants, y'all know how I am with my mouth. But I base everything on facts. So this is what I said to Isaiah. I said, no, he can't. This is why he can't do what he wants. I said, because that apartment he lives in, because he repeatedly doesn't pay rent, they want him to leave now. That apartment has consistently gave Elijah notices and said, you got to move out of here, man. I said, they call them eviction notices. And it's getting close to that time for real eviction. So Elijah has found a transitional housing establishment to enter into. So I said, so he can't do what he wants because that landlord or that property owner and property manager is saying, man, you got to go. This is what I'm telling my oldest son. So I told my oldest son, Isaiah, I said, and second of all, Elijah's on 5 years probation. 5 years probation. And he ain't killed nobody or beat nobody down or got caught selling no drugs, robbing no bank. Elijah ain't done none of those crimes I just named, but he's on 5 years probation. So I told my oldest son, I said, the state on the West Coast is also dictating his life at this point because he's on 5 years probation. So I said, Isaiah, does that sound like he doing what he want to do? Isaiah was like, nah, Mom. Because I'm going to shut it down with facts. Go ahead and say what you got to say, but I'm going to shut it down with facts. I said, third of all, that white lady that he with, or what the world will perceive as a white lady that he with, that white girl is telling Elijah, whether you got DNA or not, man, you got to take care of my white children. So I said he got the property that he lives in telling him what to do, telling him he got to leave. He got the 5-year probation and the state telling him, hey, man, you get in trouble, you go into the penitentiary. Third, he got a white woman that won't even give him the satisfaction of letting him know if those are really his children, telling him, take care of my baby kids. I told Isaiah, I said, does it sound like he is not being told what to do? But I said, check this out, Isaiah. Them shorts that I told you to wear or recommended that you wear, you got those shorts on? Isaiah said, no, Mom, I wore the shorts I wanted to wear. I said, yeah, see, so you doing what you want to do because you ain't got a correctional officer, a property manager that you owe, or a white woman dictating your life. Isaiah was like, have a great day, Mom. I'll see you later. Thanks a lot. He gave me like a handshake, like, because see, I'm about evidence, not about your delusion and what you think. And see, I'm pretty laid back to live with. So the thing is, when you live with me, you pretty much fair game to do what you want to do, long as it's not no criminal activity. Now, when you start disrespecting me, talking about you want to sell some drugs, you want to be in crimes and stuff, that's where I draw the line. So, going back to race does matter as well. So I'll start here with race. Elijah, the middle son that's moved out. We have a family lawyer that we pay every month. Every month, our family lawyer takes a certain amount of money out of my bank account every single month. But my middle son, Elijah, he didn't use the family lawyer. He didn't use the family lawyer. And that's why he's on 5 years probation. Now, I done borderline left a man for dead back in the day. My baby son running around basically talking about he the FBI, okay? And we not on 5 years probation. Because for one, We understand this. We cannot control the white man, and we know how to compromise. And we have our family lawyer and other additional attorneys. I'll use a public defender as needed. There's nothing wrong with that. You can have a private lawyer and a public defender. You can. It's nothing wrong with it. It's still your attorney. But the thing is, no matter who your lawyer is, you always need to keep your private attorney so that you can report to your private attorney what that public defender is doing. But sometimes in criminal cases, public defenders can do the best job because those prosecutors and public defenders can negotiate on your behalf. Now, Elijah, he missed all of this. And like I said, he's not even done a violent crime. He ain't left nobody for dead. He ain't running around saying he the FBI or a correctional officer or none of that. Okay? So there will be these criminal tendencies in this family. It just will. I mean, so we have to learn to get our behaviors under control. So, like I said, I shut it down with Isaiah. And Isaiah still ended up leaving the house wearing whatever knee shorts he wanted to wear. You know, them big old basketball shorts, y'all, that come to your knees. He had a brand new pair. My thing is with brand new stuff, I was basically like, say the brand new shorts. But Isaiah was like, no, I want to wear them now, Mom. But I'm like that. No matter, I don't care if you're 50 years old. If you live with me, I'm going to be like, I think that look good. It's just my personality. That's all. I don't mean no harm. So Elijah, the middle son, he's out here and he thinks that he can conquer the white man. Since he's been out of this house, he's been put on the ground by the police. All kind of stuff is happening because he does not have the proper support. I tell my sons all the time, I say, look, this is the thing. Y'all like a broke version of the Kennedys. And they be looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, how are we the Kennedys? Because the Kennedys have this one thing that they can always rely on. Their elders and stability. And that's what I'm offering. I'm your elder. I'm offering that support and stability. Go make your money. Go what you need. Go do what you need to do is what I tell my sons. And this property that I'm renting, 2,000 square feet of it, you got a home with plenty of space. And that's what the Kennedys have, except they in mansions. But this is our version of a mansion, okay? And don't get me wrong, we're not dirt poor. I mean, I have assets and a bank account and, just small things. I mean, I got something. If I needed to catch a plane out of here tonight, I could. Just basic emergency funds, I'm able to do that. I mean, I can save enough money for an airline ticket and stuff. I'm trying to get better with saving, y'all, but the rents are just high. So how race matters. So, and as I pointed out in the beginning of this video, I will be using Elijah as an example. So back in 2021, the end of 2021, there was a chocolate girl at the school that Elijah abused. I mean, it was horrific. The little girl would just come out the school crying. And I had knew this little girl since she was about 10 years old. I knew her mother and her since she was about 10 years old. Because when I first started working for the city that I'm in, I began working at the community center. It was a government-owned community center. So I was beginning there as a government employee for the city that I'm in. So that was the first building that I worked in when I started working for the city. And that's how I met the little girl. So the little girl, she was on like our swim team and stuff like that. So I met the little girl when she was about 9 or 10 years old, somewhere around there. And the little girl and her mom loved me to death. So of course, years later, when they get into their early teens, Elijah, my youngest son Daniel, and this little pretty chocolate girl, they ended up going to the same school. So through going to that school, um, I was learning of Elijah's abusive behavior towards her, and I did not approve of it. Then two other little girls, they wasn't as hurt as the first little girl that I knew, but two other little girls began to complain about him. So my Scorpio nature, I pay attention to the victims. Who are these victims? Do they look similar? Do they come from similar backgrounds? I'm like doing my little detective work. So I noticed they're all chocolate girls. And when I say chocolate, they're the color of a Hershey chocolate bar or darker. Please, not caramel complected, not beige, not high yellow, not light caramel. They are chocolate, which means they are more apt to certain abuse when they live in the United States than others. A chocolate person can be subjected to certain kind of abuse that I may not even be subjected to or you be subjected to. Okay, so I'm just letting you know I have an understanding. And unfortunately, my own middle son Elijah contributed to this abuse. So this was end of 2021. So I said, one night I was up, because me and Elijah, sometimes we would be kind of the night hawks, you know. And Elijah and I, we had certain things in common, like we would like to watch, like certain videos and stuff like that. So one night I said, look here, Elijah, I need to talk to you, man. This is my middle son. So I took him in the dining room. I said, sit right there in that corner, dog. I got to have a talk with you. So he's like, well, what's going on, mom? Mom, you know, all this fake shit. So I said, look, man, I said, check this out, man. Well, what kind of girls do you like? This is what I asked my middle son. He said, what do you mean? I said, what girls or what type of girls are you attracted to? He said, well, I like Spanish girls. I said, really? You like Spanish girls? I said, okay, but you're not Spanish. Okay, go ahead. You like Spanish girls. I said, you don't like black girls? He said, no, I like Spanish girls. I said, what about white girls? So he said, no, I like Spanish girls. Because he knew what he was doing. You know, he was trying to still paint a picture to me that he liked it a melanated race. So Mexicans and Spanish people, they're a melanated race. So he didn't want to just, you know, he's trying to like lower the blow because he kind of know where I'm going, but he don't. So I said, well, check this out. Okay, you like Spanish girls, Elijah. I said, but what's going on with the abuse of, you know, this one particular girl? I'm not gonna say her name. Let's call her Shay. Okay, what's going on with how you abusing Shay at the school? Because I mean, she crying, and I mean, your abuse upon her is just unbearable at this point. What's going on with this? And I said, and I'm kind of noticing that the main little girls that have a complaint about you at this particular school, they're chocolate, or I use the word dark skin. So he could get an understanding of, I'm paying attention to his abuse of dark skinned girls. So for that particular conversation, I called him dark skinned because I'm trying to let my middle son know that this behavior is not okay. So I said, so basically, since you say you like Spanish girls, Elijah, you saying that you're not attracted to dark skin or chocolate black girls or Negro Americans. That's not what you attracted to. He said, no, I'm not attracted to that. I said, fine. I said, but this what you're going to stop doing, dog. This is what's going to stop today. You don't have to be attracted to dark-skinned girls, and you don't have to like them, and you don't have to want to date them. But what you're getting ready to stop doing today is making their life a living hell when you go to school with them. You don't have to date them. You don't have to like dark-skinned or chocolate girls. But I better not hear one more motherfucking report of you abusing chocolate girls. I said, and I'm going to tell you something else, man, because the whole conversation pissed me the fuck off. The worst thing that my middle son could have said was that he liked Spanish girls. And that let me know that, yes, he feel like it's okay to abuse dark-skinned girls and chocolate girls at the school because they not Spanish. And that's not fucking okay. Race does matter, and it's not okay to abuse a certain race or a certain appearance of girls just because Elijah not attracted to him. So I told him, I said, the shit's gonna stop, right? One of them is breaking down crying. And so he gaslit me. He was like, oh, she's a drama queen. No, she's not a drama queen. It's just that your abuse is becoming unbearable to Shay. We'll call the one little chocolate girl I've known since she was 9 or 10, we'll call her Shay. So I told Elijah, this is the end of 2021. So I told Elijah, I said, check this out, man. Let me tell you what I do know about people. I said, you know, my mom is chocolate and dark skin. So let me tell you what I know about your kind. I said, I know this. And I can promise you this. I said, not only do you not like dark-skinned girls or chocolate girls, you don't like the people that come from them neither. So because of your ill will against dark-skinned and chocolate girls, you don't like my ass. It don't matter that I'm light-skinned because you know that I came from a dark-skinned woman. And I said, and then on top of that, Elijah, because this is how I'm talking to him, I said, it's a fucking shame that you don't like dark-skinned and chocolate girls because that means you would have hated your grandmother, which is my deceased mother. So you would have hated my mother just because of her skin complexion. And I said, and that's some wicked ass shit, dog. I said, I better not hear one more report of your black ass, because I said, your black ass damn near as chocolate as they are when you get your good tan on. So I said, I better not hear one more report of your black ass at that school abusing dark-skinned and chocolate girls. Leave them the fuck alone. Because he ain't abusing the Spanish girls because he liked them. It's a fucking shame. So this goes, race does matter. So this 2021. So let's go into 2022. Because remember, I done pointed out, you gotta, this is something that a lot of light-skinned people will not pick up on. See, if a person do not like dark-skinned people, and you come from dark-skinned people, they don't like you neither. You being light-skinned doesn't matter at that point. Because if they don't like dark-skinned people or chocolate people, they do not like the fruit that comes from it. So the fruit that also comes from dark-complected people is light-skinned people like me and you. Caramel-complected people like me and you. beige, high yellow. All of these are fruits that can come from dark skinned people. You know, a person can have two dark skinned parents, and I've seen this. A person can have two dark skinned parents and come out lighter than me, my color, or darker than me. This is the truth of the matter. A black child can come out any color. The black woman is the only woman that has the Eve gene. We can give birth to any race of a child. So that's 2021. Race does matter on what I dealt with Elijah. So we're going to go into 2022 with Elijah. Now, at this point, he's calling me nigga bitches. My own son, 2022, I'm a nigga bitch. So 2021, I've already had to discipline and talk to him about how he's treating dark-skinned girls. And I was right when I told him you don't like what comes from any dark-skinned woman. So 2022, he starts calling me racial names. Remember, race does matter. So it matters to him because he didn't got the balls to call me nigga bitches and called me it more than once. I said, oh, I'm a nigga bitch. Well, what do we have here? I'm a nigga bitch. He said, yeah, you a nigga bitch. That's what he told me. I said, okay. He knew the love I have for black men, and I prefer, at all costs, I try to prefer not to call the police on black men because of how they're shot down and killed. But I talked to the police department. I told them my concern. I said, I might need to get y'all involved, but you know, I don't want any of my black children shot down or killed. The police department guaranteed me that they would not kill any of my sons. I said, because I got one I need to start calling the police on that thinks I'm a nigga bitch. The police like, what? Your black son called you a nigga bitch? I said, uh-huh. And I'm one of them nigga bitches. I want to start calling y'all, getting some support and assistance. What you think about that, officers? They met with me in the grocery store parking lot, up to 8 police officers, and they promised me that they would not kill any of my sons if I called the police, because I let them know all my sons are unarmed. Okay, so I began to call the police. Elijah says, you gonna call the police on a black man? I said, oh yeah. Yeah, I'm a nigga bitch, remember? Damn, I think a nigga bitch needs the popos. If I got somebody that's my same race calling me a nigga bitch more than once, I think I need to get the white man on you. Or whatever race they are. If they send a black man, the police need to come. So Elijah's like, well, that's a real letdown, Mom. Like calling me nigga bitches is not a letdown, and abusing dark-skinned girls at the school in 2021 is not a letdown. None of that's a letdown, though. But anyway, so that went on. So I get the police involved. He, you know, kind of slows it down a little bit and gets judgmental about it. So we go into like the end of 2022. My middle son, Elijah, he decides to run away to a white woman's house. So while at this white woman house, he starts telling me, this white bitch own property. This white bitch got like a CEO job. Man, your black ass ain't about shit. This is how Elijah talking. I said, well, you know what, Elijah? I'm going to tell you something. This is the thing. I said, she may own property, but it's not yours. Any property that she owns goes to her white son, not you. None of her property goes to your black ass. So I said to Elijah, the thing is, I said, for one, I did own property many years ago, but while I was raising you, I've always rented and been in lease contracts and lease agreements. So I said, the thing is, it don't really matter what I own. What should matter to you is that every place I've ever leased, you was always welcome to stay with me. I said that, in my opinion, is what truly should matter to you. Not that white lady owns property and I'm a renter. You should be concerned about, because I said you should be concerned about the fact that I always let you stay and live with me and took care of you. That's what you should be concerned about. I said, and I can guarantee you this, that white lady that you claiming on property that you think better than this nigga bitch, because that's what he called me, a nigga bitch. I said, I promise you this, she not gonna keep letting you stay with her. She let him stay for 5 months and had a black man come in and throw Elijah out, and she put Elijah in a men's shelter for men aged 18 to 24 years old is what she did. So then I find out about that. So I was right. It don't matter what property she owns, because at the end of the day, she still ended up picking her white son over Elijah and throwing Elijah out, which is what she should do. She should not be allowing a black male to come in her house and misuse her house and take advantage of her and mistreat her white son, because he abused and mistreated her white son as well. Come to find out, this particular son, this white son, was an adopted son of hers, and the white lady abused him as well through putting him on a lot of psych meds that would make him shake and tremble. I'm talking about the white lady. She would give her white male son that had no father in the home. She got him because she used to be married to his daddy. And so she basically took her ex-husband's son and abused him through giving him medications. The white boy told me that, and I cared about the white boy, her son. He told me he hated living with her and he didn't want to be there. And I said, well, that's your mom. You got to go with your mom. But at the time, I also didn't know that that wasn't his real mom. So that's how that went. So race does matter. Ultimately, that white lady got rid of Elijah and was trying to give him back to me when I was in Texas. She was texting me talking about she wanted me to take him back. I dropped Elijah ass off right at that white woman's house. She's not going to take no more runaways. I gave them right back. Don't take a black woman's runaway thinking we want them back. So that's how that went. So that taught her a lesson and Elijah a lesson. So he ended up at a shelter. So at this shelter, he meets the white girl that he's with right now. So last year, I go over there and I meet her. Now, when Elijah first met the white woman, she lied on the phone and told me that she's black. She didn't sound black at all. But some people like that. They don't sound black, but you see them, they black as this air purifier. Okay? So she lied. She's not black. Okay, so I go over there and meet her. And that was one of my inquiries. I said, I thought you said you was black. You know, because at a minimum, I'm thinking, okay, she's just a light complected black female. So I'm like, which part are you black? What's black? Where's your hair? Like, what kind of phenotype do you have of a black girl? Period. This is what I'm asking. So She showed me a picture of her mom. I said, she looked like a Samoan. Your mom looked like a Samoan or something. I said, what race is your dad? So basically, the white girl saying she black, so I could start giving her money and buying her food. And it worked. I did exactly that. I started buying her money. I mean, buying her food and giving her a little money when I went over there. Because she say she black. Why wouldn't I support a young black girl? But eventually I figured out the dumbass move I was making and I stopped doing it. And so how race matters. So one time I went over there, the white girl and Elijah didn't have no food. So we walked to the grocery store that was right on the corner. I spent like almost $115 on food. Okay. On my Visa debit card, no food stamps. And I'm not devaluing food stamps. I'm letting you know what I spent so you will understand the next part of this story I'm going to tell you. So at some point I had this real high light bill and I kind of like wanted my money back. You know how you get in a situation and you try to like recoup monies or recover monies that you gave out that you shouldn't have. So I got this high ass light bill. So I'm thinking, well, let me get my money back from them. Because eventually they had a little money coming in. So while I'm on the phone with Elijah, because remember, race does matter. He uses the food situation to make it seem like all black women is on some food stamps. So while I'm on the phone and I'm asking for the money back, Elijah's like, you used the food card. And I also want to point this out. In general, I did not raise my sons on food stamps. They primarily were raised with me actually buying their food. Now, during the pandemic, I did utilize what do you call it, like that reduced or free lunch system thingy. And sometimes I didn't officially qualify for that because I had too many jobs and too many sources of income. But what I would do, and this is a good business tactic that I'm going to teach y'all, if you don't really qualify for free or reduced lunches for your child when they're in school, the way you can get it and be over income is go through the school counselors. So the school counselors, no matter, you could be making $20,000 a month. The school counselors can hook your child up with free and reduced lunches. They have that power, y'all. I don't care what state you in. School counselors have a lot of power. So that's one of the things I would always do is I would go through that resource with the counselors, and they would always hook it up to where the lunch for the kids at school was free or reduced. So the thing is, when that was going on, like during the pandemic for about 6 months, because my kids was on that free or reduced lunch status through the school counselors, of course, they started mailing these kids out these kind of like EBT cards for the kids. So that was what do you call it? What do you call that? Emergency crisis funding for the state. So yeah, that was like the emergency crisis stuff for the state. So that's how that works. So, but in general, I'm just trying to be as honest as possible. In general, my children were not raised on dependence on food stamps. Did I receive other assistance? Yes. But Normally, in the state that I'm in, because of the amount of jobs I would have, I didn't qualify for food stamps. I hope that makes sense. If you qualify for food stamps, great. This is not to devalue food stamps. I'm just explaining to you the situation so you will know when Elijah asked me, did I pay for their food with food stamps or an EBT card? First of all, he knew that I paid with a Visa card because I told him that. He knew that I paid with my debit card. He knew that. Okay. So when you're paying with a debit card, that's cash money. Okay. That's not food stamps, of course. But going back to race does matter, Elijah used that situation to devalue me in front of the white girl. And keep in mind, he got her from a shelter. So he picks up a white woman from a shelter, a white girl from a shelter that had never worked. Um, the world would call her trailer park trash. That's what she would be considered from a worldly standard. She would be considered basically like white trash. I'm not calling her that, but I'm saying from the world perspective, that's what she would be considered. So, I don't know if it's a such thing as black trash. I think I guess the black trash word would be the nigga bitch that he called me. I guess I don't know. So, but no one with any sense puts me in any trash category or nigga bitch category. Nobody would do this. So that's how that worked. But in front of the white girl, Elijah would say that I used food stamps to buy them that food, and I did not. So moving forward, one of the visits I made with him and his white girlfriend, this was last year, of course. That same day, I took them to the grocery store. We walked right to the corner store to get the food. The white girl begins handing me and Elijah her bags. Now, at the time, of course, she was pregnant, but she did it like this is how it felt. It felt like slavery was still in existence, and we just two niggas, and niggas have to carry her bags. So, and they were very light grocery bags. It's three of us together, $115 I spent. So we had about two bags each. I mean, $115 worth of groceries. You ain't got 20 bags. You got about 8 bags, 10 at the most, something like that. Not a lot of bags. And they're not completely full bags neither. Because buying $115 worth of food now, y'all, it ain't like back in the day. So she begins handing me and Elijah all of her bags, giving them to me and giving them to him. Also, she never wanted to walk to the store. She just wanted to sit on her air mattress and just sit down. He got him a real lazy trifling one, y'all. This white girl is what the world would call poor trailer trash in its biggest form because of her level of laziness. Not everybody that's in poverty is that lazy. So she's handing me and Elijah the bags like, niggas, y'all carry my shit. This is passive aggressively what she's saying. So I gave her some of the bags back. So I gave her about 2 bags back, and Elijah gave her a bag back. Because I told her, I said, being pregnant is good to carry stuff and walk. That'll help your delivery. When you having a baby, you need to be in good shape. Not carrying nothing and not walking is not healthy for you, girl. So I picked up on that, so this goes back to race does matter. So at this point, There is a racial biasness going on. Um, Even when Elijah last September, he supports the white girl when she put her fist in my side, not punching me, but using her fist as a way to get me from in front of Elijah's door. And so, of course, like Elijah called me back in 2022, a nigga bitch. And see, this type of stuff, y'all, people mean what they say to you, right? You got to understand when people are saying certain things to you, they mean it from their soul. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that what they're saying is true. But what it does mean is that what they're saying means something to them. Okay. So, hello to everyone that left a message in the chat. Thank you so much for coming into the chat. Thank you. So it means something to them. So there's this continued pattern of not wanting to take Black advice, and not taking Black advice leads to stuff like 5 years probation. And you ain't even defended yourself or had to leave anybody for dead that was attacking you. He ain't been running for his life like what Daniel went through and needed to pretend like he's somebody else to free himself of a situation. He's not been through any of that. But race does matter. You know, someone that's like Elijah, he doesn't appreciate, respect, or love himself or the good people that's in the Negro race. Okay. And that's a downfall of his. So, race does matter. So, and you know, when race does matter, y'all, what will happen is the Black person that's now think they moved over to white people or whatever, they will forget how much class you have as a Black person. So Elijah would say stuff like, do I want to fight her? And I'm like, no, I don't want to fight her. I just want to stay away from her. Like the police advised me, stay out of that place. The police told me last September when the incident happened, just stay out of there. Meaning don't enter the apartment no more, or Elijah's apartment, because she moved in with Elijah. Okay. And since that time, when I speak to Elijah on the phone, he allows her to talk shit to me, say what she want to say, and holler and do all kind of stuff. He allows her to do whatever, because it goes back to what he said in 2022. I'm a nigga bitch. So what's the solution to this? Okay. So this is how things happen. Okay. So when you're coming up with solutions, I explain the process. So this is what happens. So in these type of situations, it's not just about girlfriend, boyfriend, of what they have. And then in the meantime, Elijah will continue to do things like he's helping her with her white children, but he's threatening to throw my Black son, my youngest son, and Elijah's biological brother off a balcony. So he is caring for her white children, but then with Black people, because Daniel would be considered like a caramel color, like a dark caramel, middle complected caramel. So the caramel people can get it too. Like he told me, he'll throw Daniel off a balcony. Okay, so caramel is still a version of brown. Okay, it's still in the brown family, so to speak. Brown meaning complexion. Okay, so And as a that doesn't mean eventually Elijah not gonna get to threatening the white right now. He's choosing to threaten black people. So this is where race does matter. And so when you got family members and they get into these interracial relationships, um, this is part of how race does matter. So basically, it's kind of like this. It's it's like a you're dealing with two white supremacists or white racists, like KKK members. So that's what it's gonna feel like. So what's the solution to it? So the solution to it is, for one, stay clear of it because it's not safe. Two, understand why it's happening. So the only type of guy that will do something like that, what Elijah's doing, they're ungrateful, and they're like that's the closest thing you could call like a sellout. See, we've been conditioned that a sellout or someone that sells they self out to another race, like they have to have money. But you can be a sellout and be poor too. You don't have to be like an NBA player or have a lot of money to be a sellout. So the dynamics of the situation, race does matter. And the lady that the girl that Elijah's with, um, she will notice and be angry that I'm not submitting to her because she's white. And it began with those bags. She knew my nature when I handed her those bags back. Because, see, we were walking down the street. So look at how she wanted it to look to the world. So she wanted it to look to the cars that's passing by. We were only going a couple of blocks, one or two blocks. She wanted it to look to the people that would be driving in traffic. So from the appearance of it, it's a white girl. So they're going to put me and Elijah in a black category, and they would put her in a white category. Okay, so from the outside looking in, they're going to say, okay, that's a light-skinned black chick. That's a caramel complected black dude. And then she's going to be perceived compared to us as a white person. Okay, so just say if me and Elijah would have carried all the bags, she preferred not to have any bags. And she wasn't doing it because she's pregnant. What she was basically saying is, y'all niggas, me and Elijah, she's saying me and Elijah are niggas and we need to carry her shit, carrying on the curse of slavery. Okay? And you got to understand slavery more in depth. I'm going to state this. Slave masters, they were Irish and of British descent. The slave masters were not all Europeans. They weren't predominantly Italians or Russians. Who began the Atlantic slave trade was the British people. British and Irish. Irish would be the people with the red hair, kind of like the red kinky type of hair. I don't know why, but Irish people can have some nappy ass beards, y'all, but it'd be all red. Okay, so they were not usually Norwegian men. And I'm talking about who the slave masters were in the United States. And see, when the white girl that Elijah's with is handing these bags to me and Elijah, like we just some two niggas that need to carry her bags, she's also passive aggressively letting me know that she knows about the Atlantic slave trade in the United States. Also, when she began having her white children, she wanted me there when she had birth to the first son. And of course, I was blessed not to be in that situation because she had already touched me with her fist. So, but she still expects me to be there and support her children that I don't even know is blood related to my family. She's a white girl, so race matters. She feel like she ain't got to prove nothing to niggas. And Elijah fell for it. He's ensnared with the narcissist or a psychopath, if she's a psychopath, and he's being victimized by her. He reported to me that she hits on him. Still, she jumped on him last September. But of course, she's going to do that because he's conditioned her to think that it's okay because she is allowed to touch me. So, see, he set a bad example, and that's his consequence. So, race does matter, y'all. It really does. And you have to pick up on these passive aggressive things and understand what they mean. So, see, the battle is it's not just a battle with the son in this case that's moved out, it's a battle because race matters. And I'm not the only parent that will be subjected to this. Remember, going back to 2021, he expressed what he likes. Now, I'm going to point this out. Elijah's first girlfriend that he had, she was Spanish. She was Mexican. She had two Mexican parents. Now, he would brainwash her because she was young and tell her not to speak to me. Eventually, she started speaking to me anyway and not listening to him. But I never let her in my residence. I don't support teen pregnancy. I don't let none of these girls come in my residence and be getting pregnant in my house. None of them. So when Elijah was with a melanated girl, which is the Mexican girl, she got two Mexican parents. That girl, that pretty girl, was not racist against me. So in that case, race matters as well because she was not racist. So she had some kind of feeling for me, just being another melanated woman. She's not a Negro or a black woman like I am, but she's still Mexican. And on the darker side of Mexicans, y'all, because you know, Mexicans, they different complexions too. They light skin to darker skin as well. And so the little Mexican girl, Elijah's first girlfriend, her father, prior baby mama, was black. So those particular Mexicans had mixed with the black race. Okay. So, you know, on the West Coast, we call them the black and browns. You know, Mexicans being the browns, and the Negro Americans being the blacks. Okay. So race does matter, you know. So solutions, this is the main solution. You got to know when it's happening and not feed the spirit. So when you first on onset notice it, and I don't care what white person it is, when they start handing all their bags to you, like you they slave, not even having enough respect to ask me to, ma'am, can you carry my bags for me? I'm pregnant. She had no respect. She just started handing her bags off to myself and Elijah like we just her slaves or butlers, more like her slaves. Because slaves don't have a choice, right? And so that's how she played it. And it's been played like that ever since. And she's very hostile towards me because you also got to remember in the Atlantic slave trade, Black women were made to watch their white children too. So I rebelled against it all. I'm not carrying her bags, and I'm not taking care of her white children. Not those white children. Because this is the thing. I don't deal with trailer park trash, like the world will call it, and ungodly white people. Like, I'm going to be at an event today. I'm not racist. I'm going to be at a event of my Norwegian pastor. But see, when we go to the event, dealing with my Norwegian pastor, for one, he's not trailer park trash. Okay. And if he became trailer park trash tomorrow and didn't have a dime, we would still love our Norwegian pastor. But in that case, because we're dealing with godly European Americans, okay, and Norwegians also, most of them were not our slave masters. Okay, the slave masters, I'm going to say it one more time. They were usually Irish. Those are the Europeans and the white people with the red hair, y'all, or British. That's why a lot of white people be getting kind of mad with us when, black people be like, well, they was our slave masters and this and that. They be like, no, I'm a motherfucking Italian. I wasn't your motherfucking slave master. That's why a lot of them get pissed off. So you got to look at where the white person ancestry comes from. And also, the slave masters also were Australians. Okay, I'm talking about primarily the slave masters of our ancestors in the United States. They were also Australians, because from what I studied, Australians also are a branch off of the British bloodline. Okay, so add the Australians in there too. So the reason it's good to understand this is because, remember, one of my estranged daughters is married to an Australian man, and it's the same outcome. It's the same outcome. Race does matter, because it could be potentially the case that your black child that gets with a white trailer trash, what the world would call it, okay, or some of the world could call it hunkies, whatever you want to put them in, whatever category you want to put them in, and call them, or the Australians. So basically, your child is like sold out, y'all. It's no different than when we watch videos and they sell out to the devil, get a soul to the devil. Stuff like that is the same type of result. So the solution to it is to stay clear of it, recognize when it's happening, and understanding that in these situations, your relationship with your child is gone. It's no different than the devil took their soul. Whatever good you had in the relationship, once that race does matter element comes into it, your child is gone. Okay? And this is why they're under the constant dose of sex. So see, the thing is, parents, of course, we don't have sexual relations with our kids. Parents don't do that. We do not have sexual relationship with our kids. So what happens is that person, that race does matter element, when they get with that Australian, they get with that white girl, they're constantly putting your relative in a trance through sex. Okay? So through sexual intercourse, your relative is almost like taking on a serious demon that they will struggle to fight off, and they don't understand race matters because their narcissism will naturally work for them. So when you're dealing with any family member, whether it be your child or not, and they kind of like have sold out, and they don't have to be rich to be a sellout. A sellout, Elijah, let me tell you something. My middle son, where race matters, he's not going to sit down and say, look, I get you didn't like my mom coming over here. When I called my mom and my little brother came, I get that my little brother came with my mom. I get that you may not have liked her here, but don't put your hands on my mom again. Don't do that. That's not cool, ma'am. I mean, I get what you're going through. Elijah's not gonna be like, well, baby, I want to be with you, but if I'm gonna be with you, just don't touch my mama. A sellout not gonna act like that. So in this case, race does matter, which actually means it don't matter. That's why they have to advertise Black Lives Matter, because they don't matter to most motherfuckers. My life don't mean shit to many people because, like Elijah said in 2022, I'm a nigga bitch. But you gotta learn to be a good nigga bitch. Okay, so this is what a nigga bitch should be doing. The solution to the problem. Recognize it, say, okay, from their perspective, I'm a nigga bitch. But from my perspective, slavery ended in 1865. So from my perspective, I do not have to be forced, and I'm not going to be beat because I don't take care of anybody's children, no matter what race they are. Since slavery ended in 1865, in that sense, I'm free. So the white girl can't say, well, police, I need you to come over here because this nigga bitch won't watch my white children. This nigga bitch won't buy me more food. There's nothing she can do about it. So the solution is to understand the curse of the Atlantic slave trade. I even know the name of the slave owner that owned 13 of my relatives in Alabama. I cried like a baby, y'all. When I found out about it, I think it was during the pandemic. I looked it up and everything. I could see the slave master name and 13 of my relatives. It was pretty hurtful. It was pretty hurtful. If the Lord would have said, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes with this slave master and said, this him right here, I would have beat his ass. That's how bad it made me feel. Like it was just like a wake-up call, like to just see the name. They have it on a list, y'all. You can look it up. You can look up the slave master of your family. You sure can. It's public record, y'all. It's public record. It brings up the slave master's name and your relatives' names. It's sad. I've gotten beyond it now, but I was very unhappy with the information. So that's a curse that's in your family. So when it comes to race does matter, it's a title that I'm gonna add to this video, but you got to understand race matters because it doesn't matter to the person that you're dealing with, the sellouts, the racists. I'm not racist. Once I seen she was white, I still bought her food. I don't want nobody hungry. But the problem is she's with a son and a relative of mine that is being biased and racist because he mean what he say. And back in 2021, when he was subjecting abuse unto dark-skinned girls and chocolate girls, he meant that shit. And what did I tell him? In 2021, that's when I first called it out. I said, you don't like dark-skinned girls, and you do not like the girls. You don't like the light-skinned girls that come from dark-skinned girls. I prophesied that. Next thing I know, he got a white girl that's handing me all her motherfucking bags like this is the early 1800s and they can beat my ass if I don't carry this bitch's bags. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, we into the 2000s and a white bitch can just hand me all her motherfucking bags and actually expect me to carry them? Now, Elijah gave some of her bags back as well. But see, I'm not around. He's a whole slave for her now. He's babysitting her kids. He's a whole slave for her. So she got her one. She actually took a black man that has that curse on him because, see, if you come from slave ancestry, that's a curse that's in your family. And believe it or not, the devil didn't like when your ancestors got free. So if the devil can, in a subtle way, implement it back in the family, the devil would love to get you to act like a slave, but you actually free. So it's actually like a demonic curse within your family. And the devil will use anything he can to basically like have the bloodline of prior slaves in the United States behaving like slaves. Oh, and this is a good one. This white girl told me, well, she's not going to listen to my advice because I asked her, I said, don't let Elijah curse in front of your kids and all that stuff. I don't care that those children are white, like, and she claims she comes from a mixed bloodline or whatever, but not of black people though. But I'm trying to give her some advice, but she said, well, look how your boys turned out. But keep in mind, one of my sons moved her in his crib. Elijah not staying with this woman. She moved in my son's crib. But I said, you know what? I think this affected her too. I said, my sons are turning out just fine. I said, my youngest son is free right now because I was watching my sons instead of your sons. And that affected her a little. Because what I'm saying to her is this. She understood what I was saying. I'm watching my black children. You watch your white children. So the solution to it is to not allow someone that really think you don't matter, to not allow them to control you. I wouldn't mind helping white children, but I told y'all before in another video, I have a standard for kids, y'all. I help godly children. I don't need to be bothered with nobody's satanic or possessed children. If your child been saved and baptized, they an obedient Muslim, they a Catholic, they decided they want to be part of Zen Buddhism, they a Jehovah Witness. I usually don't mention that one, but I'll mention it here today. I mean, your child is a spiritual child. I can relate to your child, but I have a standard for children just like I do adults. And also, understanding solutions, right? So it's not just about solutions because you want to stay away from these situations. But what I was trying to do by giving you background, 2021, the discrimination towards dark skinned girls Elijah shows. 2021, I'm a nigga bitch, he says. No, 2022. So let me start over. I'm trying to show you the dynamics of how race does matter. 2021, the discrimination I noticed towards dark skinned girls. One little girl, it was unbearable. She couldn't take it. And he was abusing her strictly just because of her complexion and the fact she was super sweet too. And that she loved me. That little dark skinned girl, that chocolate girl, I had known her since she was 9 or 10 years old. She loved me. So then 2022, I'm nigga bitches. I'm getting the police involved. By 2023, he gets with a white girl. And the white girl is allowed to put her fist in my side, talk crazy to me. This is all in 2023. By 2025, he's praising her children, doesn't even know if these children are his, and threatening to throw my black son off a balcony. Told me he would do it. So it's a sellout situation. So in these situations, you want to stay clear of it and take advantage of your freedom, because legally, you do not have to watch any children. You're not going to be beat down for watching children, and you are not forced into this situation. So I brought up the background so that I could explain the process. And also part of the story was 2023, early 2023, he was comparing me to a white lady, saying that the white lady house he ran away to, she's more valuable because she owns her house and she makes more money in her career. That white lady still put him out and had a black man come do it. She tolerated him for 5 months. So when race matters, there's this history that goes with it that has to be considered before you proceed forward. You cannot ignore the history of a racist that's your same race. You cannot ignore a someone more than the Ku Klux Klan. And see, the thing is, there's a sense of entitlement and there's a lot of anger. Oh, and let me tell you what really angered this white girl that Elijah's with. When finally I was able to kind of not make her, but guide her into an apology towards me for putting her fist in my side. After she did that apology that she didn't really want to do, she had an extreme amount of anger towards me. And that anger is coming from, I'm the slave master, is how she feels. She feels like a slave master, y'all. See, she got a curse on her. So she feels like a slave master, and she feels like, I've apologized to this nigga bitch. Because think about it. If Elijah will call me a nigga bitch to my face, he probably calls me this in front of her. So it escalates her judgment and her already, she doesn't see herself as poor white trash. She sees herself in a hierarchy. She's financially below me, spiritually below me, intellectually below me, but she sees herself as a hierarchy above me just because she's pale. That's it. She doesn't look at the fact she never had a job. She's out of shape, overweight. She's unattractive in some ways, personality wise, being the most. She's spiritually unattractive. She's a user. She's an abuser. She doesn't respect her elders. She can't cook. I'm not sure if she's completed a diploma or made it through grade school. She can't speak well, and none of this stuff is she trying to better. But race does matter, because in these situations, they will always remind you that from their perspective, Black lives don't matter. I believe in Black privilege. I acknowledge that there's a such thing as Black supremacy. I'm not talking about Black racism. I'm not talking about racism. I'm talking about supremacy. I know that for sure. My grandmother had 99% of her employees were always Black people. That's Black supremacy. That's Black privilege. They all eat. They all can take care of their families. My grandmother made it possible for so many people in St. Louis, Missouri to survive and maintain and not live in any poverty. And one of those people she helped is me. I will always be grateful to my grandmother for that. Neglectful abuse or not. She didn't have to let me stay with her my whole life. She didn't have to do that, but she did, and I will always be grateful for the good. But there is a such thing as Black supremacy, Black privilege, and race does matter. In these situations, I like to give hope where hope is prevalent and it applies, but just being honest, the advice I'm going to be giving you is these are lost causes, and you create like a stalemate in these situations where you're just tied out, and it's just like a tie. There's no winner. So the stalemate would be staying clear of it. Oh, the white girl even said, I don't come see my son. See, to her, I'm a nigga bitch. And she knows this, and we all know this. There's one Black woman every 5.5 hours getting murdered in the United States by another Black male, whether it be their son, their relative, their boyfriend, their husband, their neighbor, or friend. So she's saying to me, nigga bitch, who are you not to come around your Black son It don't matter if he say he gonna take your life or beat your ass. You a nigga bitch. You should be coming to see your son. She said this passive aggressively, but this is the part she said. You don't come see your son. That's not a son. Not in the emotional sense. But the reason she thinks that I'm not making the right choice is because I'm a nigga bitch. According to their perspective, race does matter. Race does matter. Because to them, your race don't matter. These are stalemates. These are very dangerous situations. I would trust going to have dinner with a couple of non-violent KKK members before I deal with sellouts and people that think slavery shenanigans still are appropriate for the 2000s. I'll take my chance going to my Norwegian pastor church where there will be some white supremacists that will treat me kind today. I'll take my chances there. It is nobody that can be more dangerous to you than another black person that thinks you a nigga bitch and that now thinks this particular white person, he can't pull no smart white woman in. I mean, that's just not possible. I mean, that's all he can pull in. If she's gonna be white, she has to come from a shelter. She has to be kind of illiterate, and she has to be a degenerate, and she has to be morally declining at a fast pace. Oh, let's add that she doesn't believe in the Lord. Let's add that. And I'm a Negro and believe in the Lord. I stay away from these situations before I end up on a cross like Jesus was, because that's what's gonna happen to you. So hopefully, y'all understand that race does matter, because to them it doesn't matter. And I try to use this situation because a lot of times what happens is this: you see what's happening, but you don't go back to the beginning. Notice I went all the way back to 2021 when Elijah was still living here, and I had to tell him to stop his abuse of dark-skinned girls.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel.
You better like. I'm going to come for you. You heard me. Everybody that's viewing right now, I'm come for every single one of you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
I just got the pen.
Yeah, you just got out the pen.
Penitentiary.
Yeah.
Alaikum salam, my brothers and sisters. Like, share, and subscribe, Negroes. Or fellow white people. I don't know who's viewing. But
yeah, he said fellow white people. Yeah, I'm not a racist, y'all.
Race don't matter, but all lives matter.
All lives matter. Amen.
All the racist lives, because
no, racist lives matter too. All lives matter.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. But the reason
Amen.
Black Lives Matter had to be individually pointed out. Thank you so much, Daniel, son. Individually point out.
You're welcome, mother.
Thank you. Individually pointed out. And this angers that white girl. This angers her. Because I told her when she was like saying, kind of devaluing. Well, look how your son's turned out. And there's no problem. See, like I said, look, ma'am, I told the white girl, I said, you don't come to my house. You see how Elijah acting. But that doesn't mean that's how Isaiah and Daniel are acting right now. None of them are perfect. I have no perfect sons. But like I told her, I'm over here with my sons instead of over there with hers. And I was saying a lot by saying that to her. She understood. Because from day one, What she really wanted, y'all, was to dump her white babies off on me, um, turn me into like a slave. She wants me to go back in history. And by the time I was born, the Atlantic slave trade had ended. So it should be ended. So these are stalemates, and it's not going to go anywhere. And these relationships are a lost cause. Um, it's a lost cause. And for safety reason, you better stay clear. You better stay clear because these situations can be very risky. Daniel was just in here giving his like, share, and subscribe. I love his participation in this channel. When we went over there last September, Elijah left us outside like at 2 a.m. He didn't even have enough common decency for his own mother and brother to at least walk us outside or make sure we're safe. The police had to protect Daniel and I. And Daniel didn't say nothing or do nothing. He was just quiet and humble pretty much while we were there. I reported what she did to the police and just let them know she touched me in my side, but I never went back. But because from their perspective, I'm a nigga bitch, I don't have no right not to come back from their perspective. Because her entitlement doesn't make her understand that it's over. It's illegal now. I don't have to do anything. Even if her children was blood related to me, I don't have to help her at all. And I will not help them. I don't give them a dime. I came out of $400 total for these foods. Cash, food, and the Uber I caught there. The day that Elijah called me and I could hear he had been assaulted by this white girl. But see, this is the thing. If she was actually black and her kids were black, say they were the color of the dark-skinned girls or chocolate girls that he was abusing at school in 2021, he would have already killed them all. He would have lost his temper. If this white girl was a chocolate girl, he would have lost his temper and murdered them all, her and her kids. That's the truth of the matter. Just like he threatens Daniel. Daniel's caramel complected. He threatens to throw him off a balcony. Race matters because this is a person that has self-hate. And I raised all of them to have basic self-love and self-esteem for who they are. But when somebody gets of age, y'all, they can choose to do what they want to do. But I don't have to tolerate it. So that's it, y'all. So race does matter because it doesn't matter to other people. And I gave you a pure example of a legitimate situation that played out in history in my life. So hopefully this story time helped you. Oh, I am going to add a music playlist in the description box. And maybe you can play it if you're celebrating the holidays. So it's going to be some soft music for you and some good old school music. Please like, share, and subscribe. I love y'all so much. Race does matter. And of course, on this channel, I can't tell you to put yourself in danger, y'all. He even asked me if I wanted to fight the girl. I'm like, man, I'm a woman of class. I'm not from no project acting like one of the bad project people. It's some project people that don't behave like that. They just live in there just because that's where they live in, but they still classy. So let me see. Hello to barbecue VYGHJG. Hello to you. Hello again to barbecue. These are the chats, y'all. Hello to Matthew Clark. J1G, Matthew Clark, J1G, hello. And then barbecue V, he also says okay. So agreement with the lesson. Thank you so much for your chats and participation in the chat. When you get time, I know it's the holidays and some of y'all celebrating the holidays, but rewatch the live, okay? And then I will be adding the playlist in the description box with up to 200 songs on it, y'all. So y'all can tune into it during your holidays and through the rest of the year and forever. So on this playlist, I got like 195 songs that you will love. Good music that will be pleasing to the ear and calming to the soul. Just some old-fashioned good old music. Okay. So please like, share, and subscribe, just as Daniel said. Also, I'll put Daniel's channel in the description box below. Since he supported me, I'll support him. So in the description box below, I will add Daniel's channel. So please watch his videos and subscribe to my son's Daniel channel. And please pray. If you believe in a heavenly Lord in heaven, please pray for all of my children. Okay, especially my sons. I got a whole heart for my sons. They ain't never left my side, okay? So please pray for Isaiah, Elijah, and Daniel, and every child that I brought in this world. And I'll be praying for yours as well. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye. I love y'all. Tune in for more right here with Advanced Insight channel. Share the video, like the video, and please subscribe. Thank you. Bye.